I've been engaging restaurants in my work for now about 7 years. This work really started based on my previous research, where I was working more in the space of cultural aspects of foods, where that's a lot of the work that I've done before, understanding the influence of culture, specifically in Latin American communities in the US and also in Latin America. And actually came out of my book, Caribeños at the Table, which I developed in New York City before moving here to New Orleans, where it became very more evident how the influence of where we live, where we eat, influence the foods we like to eat, what we think is good to eat, including what we feel is delicious, and that is something that is really important in our food choices. So through that work, I became very interested in the role of restaurants and thinking how these can be important collaborators to get us to think more creatively about how we think about vegetables and lettuce and all these great foods that are healthy but are not always seen as delicious or indulgent or exciting. And for me personally, some of the first times that I started expanding the types of vegetables I ate was because I tried it. I tried some of these vegetables in a restaurant. So that really brought me then to start thinking more creatively about how to better engage that sector, particularly independently owned restaurants, because a lot of policies do address or try to tackle the food served by fast food restaurants. So you think about menu labeling, trans fat bans, and things like that. So I wanted to do some work where instead of regulating the restaurants, telling them what to do, how can we co-develop carrots in some ways instead of just using sticks? So that really brought me then to this work with restaurants, to see how they can be a part of the solution and work with them to make healthier foods delicious and appetizing and something that we actually want to eat.
Hi, my name is Samantha Flournoy. I'm the Regional Director for the New Orleans Food Policy Council. One of the beauties of Voices at the Table is that it did bring such a diverse group of stakeholders, including chefs, cooks, restaurant owners, nonprofit professionals, including farmers market managers, city officials and staff members, and other food advocates.
My name is Grace Treffinger, and I'm the Urban Agriculture Liaison for the City of New Orleans. Well, first of all, I think Voice at the Table and efforts like it, what I found the most exciting and I hope continues forward is like the actual interventions that people were trying to, both learning from what's been tried in the past, like the Fresh Food Retailer Initiative or like food prescription programs. How can we leverage and learn from what we've already tried and do more effective initiatives, or find funding to actually put some of these ideas forward so that it's not just stuck in an idea phase, but actually something that people feel the impact of. And I think that's also how we actually build trust with residents who are experiencing food insecurity or just hard access to healthy foods in their neighborhoods. We live in New Orleans, we know that this has been an issue for decades and continues to be just unacceptable. And so I think efforts like Voices at the Table are really action oriented. Though it has been a lot of conversations, we've been building towards what can we implement, and I think having people like myself at the city who can work from the inside and learn, what can we actually do, even though we're in this fiscal crisis, there are things we can still do and funding we can find somewhere to actually put some of these ideas into practice.
Hi, my name is Charlie Pierre, and I'm the head chef and owner of Free Thai here in New Orleans, Louisiana. What I found most impactful about that program is that, it's a great kind of community-oriented thing, and that's the number one thing that's always really in my heart is community. So the fact that they brought that here, especially bring it into my space, and really just teaching about the diasporic kind of creativeness that's always happening in New Orleans, it just means so much to me.
My name is Robert Hennig Bell. I'm the Community Projects Manager for the City of New Orleans Office of Nighttime Economy. I think Voice at the Table is a great step towards making sure that not just the industry members, but the actual residents, patrons, people of New Orleans are represented in that process and are bringing good best practices to bear on behalf of the people of New Orleans. So I think it's important that this coalition stays together and stays active.
I was very lucky. When I brought this work to Tulane University, I was very fortunate to work with amazing students throughout the process. We had students that were really key just from the start of the project. Even the name of the initiative came from one of the team members. This was again a very not only community engaged process, but also student engaged process.
So I think that this project in itself is very innovative and very important because one, what we see in public health is more and more people purchase food away from their homes, so they're no longer cooking as many meals as often. And with that, you get an increased consumption of high fat foods, high sodium foods. So involving restaurants from the start, using them as a strategy for healthy eating was something that's very important as humanity and society evolves to more convenient foods. But more so, what's important was that we really focused on collaborating with Black and Hispanic owned restaurants within the city, because in these restaurants is really seen as like a third space. So they more than just serve you food, but it's a form of cultural expression, it's a form of community amongst the people that they serve. And that was really important to us to focus on these types of restaurants because of the population that they interact with on a regular basis.
I believe an exercise like this is important because if you are ever interested in doing more intervention-based solutions within the space of public health, it's important to have multiple voices at the table. And this exercise was a great opportunity to bring together those that are in policy, those that are in community organizations and nonprofits, as well as the restaurant owners, chefs, and managers themselves to all come together and speak about why this issue is important to them.
I remember one big topic at an initial session was locally produced food. There was some discussion on the barriers to accessing and purchasing local foods. And there was talk about the city creating policies to support more urban farms and empty lots, which could be beneficial not only to the restaurants that would like to purchase these foods, but also to have other positive impacts on our communities, like generating jobs, reducing pollution due to longer distance to transit foods, and more green spaces. And this was really at the initial part of our conversation, so I'm sure a lot more memorable moments happened like that throughout the project.
Through Voices at the Table, I was really there to listen as an actor in the food system, to really understand how people were thinking about food policy and to provide a little bit of historical context as to the work that we've been doing and to provide some strategies on what could potentially work to better our food system.
I think it's so important for Tulane to do these partnerships with the community because it's just really impactful to be amongst the community. You can't just be having a building there, but you gotta actually have a building, but grow the people outside of that building and have them kind of bring them in and show what this whole city is about. Because Tulane isn't just Tulane without New Orleans. So everything has to run symbiotically.